Hello and welcome to the Stronghold Digital Mining Daily Update. Today's Friday, February 23rd, 2023. I do see, at least as of around 1 o'clock Eastern time here in the United States, shares of Stronghold Digital Mining, have kind of been treading water. Maybe that's a charitable way of describing it. The price of Bitcoin, however, is back above $51,000 a coin. Quite a bit of volatility, it seems, the last 24 hours. Maybe that's just my observation, like in the price of Bitcoin. But I'll tell you something. I'm really kind of excited about what is going on at Scrubgrass. Now, let's just phrase it this way. I'm excited by the fact that it has been publicly announced, right, that there's a second carbolith, right, carbon capture device being assembled at Scrubgrass. What I'm perhaps even more excited about is the fact that I strongly suspect that we're going to get a very meaningful carbon capture initiative update at our next investor presentation, which is probably sometime in the middle to latter part of the month of March, if we don't potentially hear something before then. I really do think that this company, Stronghold Digital Mining, I really think, and by the way, notice how I say Stronghold Digital Mining. More and more, we're starting to see the company referred to as Stronghold, which makes sense, right? We're sort of beyond just, digital mining of, say, like Bitcoin. I really think this carbon capture initiative may very well be something that is very attractive to an entity other than another Bitcoin mining company that may want to potentially merge with or potentially acquire Stronghold. The reason I say that is because, carbon capture is like a really interesting, growing, sort of like emerging business. And Stronghold Digital Mining is able to do what it's doing with regard to carbon capture, even though this is very, very, preliminary yet, but the results are incredibly good, by the way. At least I think so, and the numbers seem to bear that out. That, I could see a company saying, hey, we're really interested in the carbon capture portion of this business. Hey, this Bitcoin stuff, whatever, it's not a big deal to us, right? But hey, it kind of comes with the business, so there it is. And I'm specifically thinking, this is very, very speculative on my part, but I'm specifically thinking about gold mining companies, right? That are, I understand that to many people, Bitcoin is fool's gold. I get it. But from the financial markets perspective, though, I wonder if a company that, there's so much just negative sentiments, right, in the gold mining sector. Hey, what would it mean, if anything? Maybe it means nothing, but what would it mean if you had a fairly large, gold mining company that, maybe also has some copper and some zinc in the mix, saying, hey, you know what, we are a mining company. We focus, say, like on gold. And we're very interested in carbon capture, right? Because we want to be good stewards of the environment. And you know what? This carbon capture initiative that is being launched, right, by Stronghold in the United States, which in 2024 has the potential to be one of the largest deployed projects in existence, which is kind of amazing when you think about it. At least, during this year. What if you have a gold company that says, hey, Stronghold is an interesting company from that perspective. And by the way, we then suddenly kind of like get ourselves into the digital asset mining business. Now, I understand that, again, for a lot of hardcore gold bugs, Bitcoin is like, rat poison or just like, really bad stuff. I get that. But, the financial markets seem to be saying something when, say, a company like Newmont, right, takes a pretty significant nosedive, as it did yesterday, despite results that I don't know were that dramatically bad. A buddy of mine's like, yeah, man, they cut the dividend. I'm like, yeah, I get that. And I'm like, but what about the share buyback? He's like, well, yeah, you're right. So maybe things balance out. I don't know. I don't really follow the gold mining industry per se. I am saying, though, from the perspective of Stronghold Digital Mining, hey, to the extent that we are in play, to the extent that we are, open-minded to having constructive conversations with potential acquirers, I wonder what the dynamic might look like if you had a gold mining company saying, hey, you know what? we predominantly mine gold. We have some copper production there, some zinc. And by the way, we're going to be the very first gold mining company on planet Earth to now diversify into digital asset mining. And we're going to do that through a acquisition or merger of sorts with this company called Stronghold. And by the way, they are also involved in the carbon capture business, which is something that, again, regardless of what industry you're in, capturing carbon is becoming a really, really big deal. So again, somewhat speculative, but I mean, when you start to think about the different ways that value can be potentially created, right? So that you can kind of go to market and say, you know what, if financial markets are completely intoxicated with the idea of, Bitcoin mining, right? And we see some so-called asset-like companies just, soaring in valuation. Okay, fair enough. And then like we also see, by contrast, gold mining companies in some cases really generating some significant like real cash flow, like, billions upon billions of dollars. And you say to yourself, hey, from a purely market perspective, would the market celebrate the idea of finally, right, this idea that, hey, maybe for Bitcoin to win, gold doesn't have to lose, right, and vice versa. And you start to see sort of like an overlap between those two industries, Bitcoin mining and gold mining, right? And maybe Stronghold Digital Mining can be that very first puzzle piece, right? A company with incredible real value that could maybe be a really good subsidiary for a large, and when I say large, I mean like market caps that are like above, $25 billion, all right, in terms of gold mining companies, I mean, for them, right, this is a very, very small acquisition, arguably, but I think it could serve as a very appropriate foray. Hey, you don't want to like maybe start with the biggest acquisition, maybe start with something relatively small that, you could kind of, sort of feel things out and see how the market responds. Right. This is definitely, it wouldn't be a fatal mistake for a gold mining company to acquire Stronghold, and just see what the market reaction is, because if it's a good reaction, well then, hey, maybe there's something to that then. So again, if you're a gold bug, which you're probably not, right? Like we who have these conversations tend to be very hardcore, Bitcoin maximalists to some degree. I know that you and I, right, tend to be very strong proponents of the mission and purpose of Stronghold Digital Mining. But, again, within the grander, sort of like conversation that's out there, there's like this divide. Gold miners on one side, Bitcoin miners on another. Maybe it's time to start bridging that divide and realizing that perhaps working together, there's more value to be created than being, sort of like at odds, right? Gold and Bitcoin coming together could very well be a very positive thing. I'm just tossing it out there. At least for Stronghold Digital Mining, I think it could be a very interesting conversation to have with a gold miner. I know there are some Bitcoin maximalists say, gold is inflationary, gold is this, gold is that, gold sucks. I get it, but gold still has a 13 trillion some odd dollar market cap, whereas Bitcoin does not. Okay, so we got to be real too here in terms of like the reality of the world we live in. Yes, we may want Bitcoin to be worth, $55 trillion or whatever, but I mean, the reality is it's not. So maybe the answer is to stop thinking that it's we win, they lose, and maybe start thinking more like, hey, how can we all win together? Just a thought. With all of that said, my friends, let's stay positive, let's be great, and we will see each other again sometime next week.